And I'd like to tell a story about my freshman journalism class that took place in the bottom of the library, had an outside entrance to the door, and in preparation for the final exam, the Blue Book exam, the course was taught by Craig Gifford, who was involved with the PO uptown, also the SID, so to speak, here at Otterbein, Sports Information Director. And the week before the final exam, Craig told the class the final exam would be at 9 a.m. Anyone that came in past 9 a.m. would not be able to take the exam, would flunk the class, on and on. So exam day came, we were all there, most of us were there, before 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, Craig Gifford went over and locked the door, passed out the blue books. There's a knock at the door. Everybody kind of looked at each other, and Craig Gifford went over and opened the door, and Bill Messmer, who was a star football player, fullback, John the Man, was there and said he had had a flat tire, he had grease on his jacket, and Craig walked back to his desk in the front of the classroom. He said, Bill, he said, you've just flunked the class. He said, I don't care why you were late. He said, you flunked the class. At that point in time, Bill pulled out a pistol out of his pocket and fired 2 shots. Craig Gifford slumps down on the desk. Some girls screamed, some things went on. Craig Gifford sat up and he said, you've just witnessed a news story. He said, your final exam is to write what you've seen. And Messmer, since you were involved in it, you don't have to take the final exam.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. And nobody knows that story except the people that were in that class. And I can't remember one other person that was in that class.
You just said Michelle Wilson.
But crazy.
She said Michelle Wilson.
Michelle Wilson was in that class? I need to ask her.
Yeah, Jan said.
Oh, Jan said
What?
that? Michelle Wilson?
Yes, she was.
I need to ask, did she ever tell you that story?
No, but she was trying to last night, and she said it was true. She was in the class.
I need to talk to her about that. I have one other story.
Please.
I loved Mrs. Frank's class in humanities. One of the best classes I've ever taken. And the first class, the first 6 weeks, she had tray after tray after tray of slides. She lectured. She was very unbelievable in her knowledge of art, history, music, you name it. The humanities, our class. So I was helping tutor 2 of my former Jonda roommates, Terry Williams and Mike Packham, Puck Packham. And I would take them over there and we would study these slides and try and help them pass the test. So the test came and she passed out the test and there were no slides on the test. And Mike and Puck were beside themselves. They'd studied all this time and they didn't know what to do. So Mrs. Frank, the next week, she told us that on the next test, there would be those trays of slides plus more trays of slides. And Terry and Mike said, there's no way we can remember all these things. I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. We won't need to study any of the slides. They said, what do you mean? And I said, don't worry about it. We won't have to take care of studying for any of the slides. Mrs. Frank had in her desk, she had the projector that she did the slides with, and she had this specialized cord that was in her desk. I don't know how this happened, but we had keys to Lambert.
You don't know how it happened.
And so the night before the test, I went over to Lambert and took the cord out of the desk back to the Jonda house with me. So the next day, she passes out the blue books, and we took the first part of the test, and she unloads all these trays of slides. She pulls out the drawer, gets a projector out, and she pulls out the drawer, and she's looking for the cord, and of course she can't find it, and she just came unglued. And she's throwing stuff out of drawers. We never had to take the test on those 8 trays of slides. Very good. crazy stuff.
The statute of limitations has expired. So.
Yeah, statute of limitations. I did return the cord later on, so that
I was at my aunt's weekend. Yeah, I wasn't there. Say something.
one more story.
Please.
She was certainly there.
My freshman year at Otterbein, I worked 20 hours a week. And I worked 20 hours a week all 4 years I was here. And the first couple months, I'm cleaning restrooms and sinks and johns and everything up in the angle and the freshman quadrangle. My advisor was Dick Flegger, who was an assistant football coach, and my advisor and counselor. And so toward the last week of football, he says to me, he says, what are you going to do between football and baseball, which I played 4 years of baseball here. And I said, I don't know, just work out and get ready for baseball. He said, how would you like to travel? How would you like to have free meals? And he says, I'll move your job to the towel room at Alumni Gym. I would have done anything to get out of cleaning the restrooms up there. So I said, what do I have to do? He said, be in my office Monday afternoon. So I go down to his office in the gym Monday afternoon, and he wanted me to be his basketball manager. I had played 2 years of high school basketball, wasn't very good. And so to get out of the job and have a job in a towel room 20 hours a week, I'll do that all day long. So I became basketball manager. At his first practice, and this is Mike Graham and Bob Decker and Harry Klockner and Kelly Boyer, all those guys, he goes onto the basketball floor with a book in his hand called Power Basketball, which was authored by Ed Jucker, who coached the 1961 and 62 back-to-back national championship teams at the University of Cincinnati. He's turning pages, telling guys where to go on the court, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is not good. This is going to turn out badly. And we went 4-24, and at one juncture up at Hiram, Coach Flegger showed up. Let's just say he was unable to coach the team on the bench. And they fired him after that year, and Kurt Tong came in, and the rest, as they say, is history. But Dick Flegger, as a basketball coach, was not good, but got me out of working up in the thing. And Kurt Tong came in and became my mentor, and my son's named after him. And pretty neat.